Just a friendly reminder before the video begins, you will hear two stories in this video and both have new updates. Now on to the first story. I, 24F, am getting married to my fiancé, 24M, and have been going over the guest list. We're planning on a bigger wedding, so whoever we want there, we invite. Before we got together, we were friends in separate romantic relationships. Mine ended decently and I'm still friends with my ex. His did not. She was horrible to him. I see my ex like a brother/friend now and I want to invite him to my wedding. Originally when I brought this up, my fiancé didn't make any comment on it. He's met my friend before and I thought he was fine with it. A couple weeks later I got a call from my fiancé's sister. She told me that her brother has been asking her for advice because he doesn't want my friend there but doesn't want to come off as jealous. She said it's inappropriate that I even suggested inviting him and said it'd look like I wasn't over him. She even brought up that my friend might try and sabotage the wedding or try to win me back. I told her it wasn't any of her business and my fiancé should come to me about this, not her. She pushed back saying that I wouldn't tolerate it if he invited his ex. I told her that it was different. His ex is a lying, manipulative bitch. My ex is my friend who I've known since high school, and we didn't work out. She said, it should go without saying you don't bring your ex to your wedding. I'm inviting my friend. It should go without saying if my partner has an issue, he should come to me. We kept going back and forth until I told her that I will talk to fiancé about this and hung up. A part of me thinks his sister is exaggerating or that my fiancé is projecting his bad breakup onto me. But he's never brought this up before. I don't know what to do, or say to him. Am I being too protective of a friendship versus my partnership? It's his day just as much as mine. Will I be the a-hole if I invited my ex to my wedding? Verdict of that post was that the op was the asshole. Relevant comments where the op replied. 420 Bean Juice. Info, how old were you and your ex when you got together and split up? How long ago did you split up? How quickly did you and your fiancé get together after you and your ex split up? Was there any overlap? No judgment if there was? Any particular reason why you and your ex broke it off? How long have you and your fiancé been together? How long have you been engaged? Have you and your ex spent time together in a platonic way since the breakup, or do you just still text? Have you and your fiancé spent time with your ex in a platonic setting? I know this seems like a lot of info, but I think it's all useful for a level judgment. Oop replied. Fair enough. I'll give a timeline. Friend and I knew each other since 9th grade and got together in 11th grade. College first year we went to the same school and I became friends with future fiancé. Shortly before college second year started, future fiancé had a big breakup. Friend and I drifted apart and broke it off a few months after that in September of 2020. Fiancé and I got together that December. Fiancé proposed last March. There was no cheating involved, but friend and I realized we weren't as close as we used to be summer 2020 when we went home for break, so it was inevitable. JMBBL. You will be the a-hole. That being said, I don't think this is a hill worth dying on. If your fiancé eventually talks to you about the situation himself and expresses his discomfort, then I'd probably err on the side of keeping him happy, even if his insecurity doesn't necessarily come from the most mature place. Oop replied. Honestly, if it comes down to it, my fiancé has to come first. It sucks since the friendship has lasted far longer than the relationship with friend, but at the end of the day I love fiancé more than anyone. I know fiancé had a horrendous breakup as well. So I wonder if there is some projection since we were both newly split when we started dating. Oop adds additional info the comments. For added context. Friend and I knew each other since high school. We got together junior year and went to the same university. I met fiancé in undergrad. He had a girlfriend and I was with friend. Friend and I were in different majors, so we didn't spend a lot of time together. We just drifted apart. We still like to hang out, but we just fell out of love. It hurt, but no yelling, no fighting, just accepting that we weren't a good romantic match. Fiancé went through a crazy, explosive breakup a couple months before friend and I split up. We got together a few months after our breakups and stayed together for 3 years before the proposal. Update. Last night we sat down and I asked about sister's call. Fiancé admitted he'd been venting and asking her for advice. He knew she was going to bring it up to me but didn't know she'd bring up his ex or yell over the phone. I asked why he didn't talk to me about it. Fiancé explained it was few things. 1. His ex cheated on him a lot with friends while dating. Just texting my friend. Hanging out with friend tonight. Etc. 2nd, he didn't realize how much it bothered him until he thought about it, and by then we already agreed on friend as a guest. 3rd, he's known friend a few years now and neither of us ever made a move. He felt he was being paranoid and didn't want to come off controlling. Especially since friend is in our friend group, and if he was the only one not invited, fiancé worried he'd look insecure. Someone made a good point that we never established a boundary. Friend is still a friend, but I love my fiancé. I said I didn't want to cut out an entire friendship if I didn't have to, and we compromised. Since the whole friend group mainly sticks to group chats, friend can only talk to us via the group chat, in person, or public socials. Fiancé offered to do the same with a different friend of his that he used to have a crush on. I didn't about that until he said it, but I told him he didn't have to. He also asked that I double check with him when friend attends any group hangouts. For the wedding, we might ask friend to come to the reception but not the ceremony to avoid drama. Friend has asked in the group chat, no official invitations yet, but the whole group knows we're planning, if he can bring his girlfriend to the reception but not the ceremony since, his words, don't think my friend's big day is the best place to bring a date, but if there's a good party afterwards, I'd love for you guys to get to know her. We talked over how it all made fiancé feel and I do feel better going forward. He apologized for not coming to me and I apologized for making him feel like I couldn't be trusted to talk to. NGL, I'm still a little freaked out he's going to secretly hate everything I do now since he felt like he couldn't talk to me. But I'm just being a paranoid idiot. Note, some noted I was too fixated on sister and I agree. It was unexpected and I got too defensive. Fiancé didn't know she'd be so aggressive. But clearly the problem is with me. Something has to be wrong with me if he'd go to her instead of me about this. It's shaken lots of confidence I've had. But I needed the reality check. Communication is crucial for marriage. Those that pointed out their exes to friends made me feel better too. Like most, I hope to keep most of my friends in my life, but my husband has to come first. Thank you for your kindness and advice. Now on to the next story. Story 2. I am married to my husband for 4 years and we have a 2-year-old daughter in a London Montessori. Many of the parents in this Montessori are always rushing for delivering and picking up their kids, so brief interactions can be common. My husband and I regularly made it a point to go to drop off and pick up our daughter together as we both enjoy it so much. One of the women who has a daughter in my child's class always used to frown at me when I was there alone. I had seen her for several months and she would rebuke and dismiss me when I said hello or smiled at her. Then my husband went to pick up our daughter solo one day, and she started speaking to him. In several minutes she told him where she is from, where she went to school, how her marriage had failed and that she was not where she expected to be in her personal life and her career choice. I joked to him later when he told me it sounded like a speed date in the nursery. In the conversation he mentioned to her what he did for work and she was super impressed. And then he said his wife, me, went to the same graduate school as her, during similar years, giving her a point of conversation with me, as he thought this commonality could change her nonchalant attitude with me. My husband was traveling for work so I did solo pickups for a few weeks, and I bumped into the woman every day, and she stood next to me during pickups or sat next to me but said nothing to me. And when I was in conversations with other parents she would be close enough to listen. It was eerie and annoyed me and I mentioned it to my husband. He was shocked she didn't even make an introduction after she so quickly made one with him. When my husband got back to pickups with me, one evening he was on the side getting the pram ready while I was with the baby on the other side of the room. She was entering THR room, and had not seen him for weeks and grabbed him on the shoulder to ask how he was. She didn't see me. My husband immediately introduced us and she said she remembered seeing me months ago at an event, which was not true as I see her every day. Since then she actively says hi to my husband and ignores me when I am alone. She has tried to wait for him to exit with my daughter to walk with him but he completely disregards, ignores her and tries to stonewall her for her behavior to me. Am I right to assume she was trying to flirt and develop some relationship with my husband? I am just irked how one woman could try this with a married man let alone in their children's school. My husband and I hold hands so it's noticeable we are together. I've never experienced this competitive behavior and it's annoying. I almost feel like saying something to her. But my husband says someone so pathetic shouldn't faze me and he will not speak to her again as now he thinks she has issues. What would you do? More info. My husband and I are uncomfortable with her advances. If it was the other way around, and a male parent was consistently trying to approach a female, I think it would not be tolerated. Also, I would really love to confront her but I feel she will completely take the victim card. Sure, her life may not have been what she wanted but we really don't care. It's her issue to tackle. But still, I am not enjoying the nursery, because of this petty person. I shouldn't let her issues influence me. Single parent or not, there should be boundaries and if you see people resistant to your advances, you should step back and perhaps have time to rethink what you are doing. It's sad that some people put their own agendas in front of more important things like children. I can't imagine how damaging it will be for her daughter to see her mother do this in school when she begins to understand. I am fine about people doing this in other places but we go to school for our kids not to be in a singles club. There is Tinder for that. Now just to be clear, I am not territorial, not threatened, and I definitely will not be insecure about someone who behaves this way. I'm just annoyed. There's a thing about manners. I hate it when people judge women, and I try to be the last too, feeling a sense of camaraderie. So I guess I'm just disappointed. Also, if I wanted to make friends with someone and their partner was in proximity I would at least acknowledge the partner's existence. I really think she thought my husband wouldn't care and form some unilateral friendship with her. Maybe that's the point about marriage she doesn't understand. My husband was giving her the benefit of the doubt thinking she was just some lonely parent trying to make conversation the first time they spoke. And he became very uncomfortable when she acted like she had seen me at an event several months prior when he knows she sees me every day. Since then it has been blatant she was not approaching this via a friendship context, and he's been avoiding her. I think she was trying to build some emotional connection and now realizes it's not going to happen, and is annoyed. I remember one time when my husband had once gone to pick up our daughter, and I was going to meet him a little later. I saw her angrily storming past me with her kiddo in the stroller. My husband said she was waiting around for him to talk and perhaps walk out with her. He gave her the cold shoulder. I was shocked at how visibly angry she seemed to me. In any case, my husband is also too smart to fall for this. He would never hurt me, let alone our family. More so since we talk and we stick up for our partner. Even more so now that we have a daughter. Now, I'll end with the irony of it all. There is a weekend class I've enrolled in and paid for our daughter to be in. My husband and I thought it would be a great bonding time and a great skill. And in the nursery, I heard this nutty woman telling her friend she had her daughter in the same class. I don't want to not go because of her being there, as I value my daughter's learning over trifling people. We waited a while on the waiting list to get in. However, it is a super small class. It's almost like dark humor comedy that of all the people in that class, we have to deal with her. Update, on single mom flirting with my husband. I actually did end up confronting her. So several months ago she found out where we live. I was speaking to another mother I am friends with at the nursery who asked me, and she was sitting nearby and listening, and it was obvious. I joked to my husband that day watch she moves into our street, and last month lo and behold she began renting in the building adjacent. This could purely be coincidental, but the fact she knew where we live, it's weird. My husband also told me that she had tried to set up a play date with him and the baby, and he said to go through me. She never did. So now our interactions went from being in the nursery to literally 3-4 times a day where she ignores me and goes overboard smiling or trying to speak to my husband. My husband finally told her in the nursery I wanted to speak with her because her attempts to go above and beyond to befriend him and behave so poorly and blank me as something very obvious, disrespectful, and we don't appreciate this. I told her the same, and that I want her to keep away from my family, as her intentions were clear with the rude treatment she has towards me and how over the top she is with him. I was a bit upset and I told her she was in a nursery and not a speed dating event, so maybe she should try to be aware of that. She said she was shocked. She said she walked with my husband to the office and that's when they spoke. My husband told me they walked out of the nursery at the same time and walked 1 block in the same direction, and he felt awkward and said goodbye, and he would never walk with a stranger to his office. So essentially she lied. A few days later she said she wanted to talk to us. My husband said he didn't have time for her as he's busy with our baby, and I spoke to her. She said she was angry with us and that we would not be friends. Please note, for 1.5 years this woman has not even said hello to me. I said to her, thank you for letting me know, and I walked away. She looked dumbfounded how I didn't care to respond. So now this is our situation. This relatively weird person in our child's nursery and literally on our block. My husband is super disturbed that she is now living on our block. Lol, what did she think we would think it was a pure coincidence and she would have more opportunity and reference point to befriend my husband? It's so strange, and if anyone can advise the best way to deal with this rather even more awkward situation, it would be great. I know I shouldn't have confronted her, but it was getting too personal with her being on our block, and even more irritating that she was being rude to me now several times a day instead of just the nursery. Thoughts much appreciated. I don't really care, but it's hurtful that this person who is a stranger is even in our periphery, and I guess I just have to learn to ignore someone so pathetic. Sorry to burden you guys for advice, but something about this doesn't feel right. And her proximity to us on our street and to our child in the nursery actually disturbs me. She really made us feel weird and uncomfortable when she came to the building next door. My friend told me this has the signs of a classic stalker written on it, and that's why there are rules for people to stay away. It scares me and my husband. So hopefully now with my intervention, she will leave us alone, but it is unnerving. Now, she can tell her version of the story to all her friends. She can say that I am an irrational or jealous or whatever wife, but she is the one who moved onto our street, and even if she were my friend, telling me that story, I would raise an eyebrow when I heard that coincidentally she landed on the same street as us. It's just nuts the more I think about it, and we've actually wanted to move for a while, and this kind of forwards our thinking. Not because we want to run away, but we don't want someone unstable to ruin our peace each time we leave the house. Finally, I will let the nursery know about all of this, so there is some record. I've already mentioned this to several friends. It's just so weird to be in this situation because, in the back of my head, I don't even want to believe someone could be that unstable, especially in our proximity and in our child's proximity. Anyway, tonight is the school's Christmas party, and last year, she came totally made over in a dress that is not necessarily appropriate for a school function. Go figure. This must be the highlight of her year to purge dads. We'll see how it all goes. Thanks again for all the comments and ideas, they all helped a lot.